Good day, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about the 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. But what comes into your mind when you hear 21st century literature? According to the definition, the 21st century literature refers to the new literary work created within the last decade. So, meaning to say, class, that 21st century literature refers to the word literature produced during the 21st century. It means that these literatures were written from the year 2001 up to the present. And of course, the people who grew up asking or using rather technology as a primary learning tool, we call them as the 21st century reader because they use technology in navigating and interpreting this literature. And there are actually four major literary genres. We have the poetry, the drama, the fiction, and of course the non-fiction. But let us know first what is literary and what is a genre. Genre means the type or category, while literary means of literature. So if we put together these two words, it will give us the definition. Literary genre is the type of literature. Okay, so let's now proceed to the four major literary genres. The first one is the poetry. Poetry, says here, is an imaginative awareness of experience expressed through meaning, sound, and rhythmic language choices to evoke an emotional response. What do we mean by that? So, poetry class is writing that uses language and sounds in special ways to express ideas. We have here an example of poetry. Roses are red, violets are blue. My life is happy because I have you. This example is obviously expresses a feeling in a special manner and it uses language that is beyond the literal meaning of the word. Actually, there are a lot of poetry we can find from the internet or from the textbooks, and if we notice on how they were written, they really used figurative language to express the ideas or thoughts of the author or the writer. So that is poetry. It uses or it requires our imagination to understand the story. Next is the drama. Drama is a composition in prose or verse presenting in dialogue or pantomime story involving conflict or contrast of character, especially on intended to be acted on a stage or a play. So drama class basically is a play for the theater told by characters, dialogue, or talking. So in here, the actor will act on a stage and they will give life different internal organs of the human body. So if you will read that page, it contains facts. So that is non-fiction. Okay, so now let us proceed to the 21st century literature genres. So as we have said a while back, class, that 21st century literature was produced from the year 2001 up to the present. So here are the 21st century literature genres. The first one is the illustrated novel. And what is illustrated novel? Illustrated novel is a story through text and illustrated images. 50% of the narrative is presented without words. Oh, the reader must interpret the images to comprehend the story completely. So, this means, class, that an illustrated novel is a story composing of text and 50% illustrated images. We have here examples of illustrated images, or illustrated novel rather. The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick, in which it is a captivating story presented in both writing and pictures. And if we try to retell the story, it is a story of an orphan boy living and working in a French train station. The other example is The Arrival, written by Sean Tan, in which is a wordless graphic novel published in 2006. So The Arrival is published in 2006. This story tells a universal story of immigration. It is a story about a man leaving his home to find work and support his family, whose home has apparently become unsafe. In the new land, the man goes through a lengthy administrative process and manages to find a small living place. So that is illustrated novel. So you should take note, class, that illustrated novel is a combination of text and 50% illustrated images. So take note of that, class. The next one is the Digi-fiction. So what is Digi-fiction? Digi-fiction is a triple media literature. It combines three medias like the book, movie or video, and the internet website. So in Digi-fiction, class, the reader must navigate through the three formats. What are the three formats? These are the book, movie or video, and the internet website, in order for the reader to comprehend completely the story. So we have here the example of a Digi-fiction, the Level 26 by Anthony E. Zeiker. So this is actually a digital horror novel which include online content with video elements and an interactive web community. Another example is the Skeleton Creek, written by Patrick Carnett. This is another horror mystery novel written on 2009, which contains different series. So these are examples of Digi-fiction. So take note that in Digi-fiction you need to use that the combination of the three medias like the book, movie or video in the internet website in order for you to understand the story. Okay, next one is the graphic novel. So what is a graphic novel? Graphic novel is a narrative in comic book format. The story is conveyed to the reader using a comic form. So graphic novel class basically is a book made up of comics content, although the word novel normally refers to long fictional works. The term graphic novel is applied broadly and includes fiction, non-fiction, and anthologized work. So the best example for this literary genre is the Archie comics by John Goldwater. So this is one of the best example of a graphic novel. The Archie comics. They are in narrative comic book format. Take note of that. Okay, next one is the manga. Okay, manga. This is not actually the fruit that we have here in the Philippines. Okay, so manga is a Japanese word for comics. It is considered as an artistic and storytelling style. In Japanese, manga refers to all kinds of cartooning, comics, and animation. But among English speakers, manga has a stricter meaning of Japanese comics in parallel to the usage of anime in and outside Japan. So the example of this is shonen or boys manga. We have the Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. What else? Dragon Balls, GTO, Hunter x Hunter. So those are boys manga or shonen. Next is the girls manga or shoujo. We have here the Sailor Moon. Okay. Next one is the seinen or men's manga. We have here the Akira. So that is a men's manga. Next is the josei or women's manga. We have here the Paradise Kiss. So women's manga. And the last but not the least, we have the kodomo or the children's manga. The example of kodomo is Doraemon. We have also Hello Kitty or Pokemon, Astro Boy, and many other anime movie or movies that we can watch from the television or from the internet. So these are mangas. They are anime, they are cartoon movies or cartoon literature. But in Japanese, we call them as manga. Okay? Next literary genre is the doodle fiction. Doodle fiction is a literary presentation where the author incorporates doodle writing, drawings, and handwritten graphics in place of the traditional font. So, doodle fiction class, the writers use doodle in graphic novels just to add humor to the story. So, it uses drawings, okay? It uses drawings to enhance the story and handwritten graphics in place of traditional font. The best example of doodle fiction is the Timmy Failure, written by Stephen Pastis, and the Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. So these are doodle fictions. They are they use Doodle in graphic novels. Okay, they use drawings to enhance the story. They use handwritten graphics. So you should take note of those keyword class. In Doodle fiction, they use doodle writing, drawings, and handwritten graphics. Okay. Next is the text talk novels. Text talk novels class blogs, email, and IM format narratives. So stories told almost entirely in dialogue, simulating social network exchanges. So what does text talk novels means? So text talk novels are the story was told through dialogues in the social network. So a story that told through dialogues in the social network. The information about the whole work can be read at the websites and exchanged by chat or any. So we have here the example of text talk novels. So as you can see, class, basically it is something like a screenshot of your conversation with your friend or family by the use of social media like Messenger, like Facebook, like email. So, and you had just screenshot it. Okay, that is a text talk novels. Your conversation that has being screenshot from your cell phone. That is also an example of text talk novel. Okay, next one is the chick literature or chick lit. So what is chick literature? Chick literature, it addresses issues of modern womanhood, often humorously and lightheartedly. It is typical features a female protagonist whose femininity is heavily thermalizing in the plot. So, chick literature class depicts stories. It depicts stories of women and the struggles and successes in the society. This term, chick literature, is widely used in early 2000s to describe popular fictions targeted at younger women. So it means, class, that chick literature is pertaining to women or to women or to female. Okay. Example here is The Night Before Christmas by Scarlett Bailey, and Started with a Kiss by Miranda Dickinson. As you notice, class, the authors of these two books, of these two literatures, are both women. So that is why they are considered as chick literature. And the story of these two literature is all about womanhood, or all about the issues regarding women. Okay. Next literature is the flash fiction. Flash fiction is a style of fictional literature of extreme brevity. So what do we mean by brevity? It means it is brief, it is shortened, it is a short fiction, it is a short story. Okay, so therefore flash fiction is a short fictional literature anywhere from 300 to 1,500 words. So take note of that, class. Flash fiction is composing of 300 to 1,500 words. So this is a genre of fiction that has a very short story. The example of this is here. So I have included here the examples of flash fiction. Okay, so they are just short. They are just short story from 300 to 1,500 words. Next literary genre is the 6-word flash fiction. So what is 6-word flash fiction? Okay, we have here the example of a 6-word flash fiction. So of course, from the word alone, 6-word, meaning the story has only 6 words. Okay, it only 6 words. So like other forms of short stories or flash fiction, a 6-word story allows a reader to consume an entire narrative in just a moment's time. Of course, it's only 6 words story, so you can only consume a moment's time. Example, For Sale, Baby Shoes Never Worn by Ernest Hemingway. In this example, class, if we try to analyze this example, I think if you will look at it, it seems like only 6 words, and that is very easy to do, right? But you should consider that 6 words fictional or short fictional story that you will be writing means to convey a special message. That's why it is called 6 words flash fiction. So if you will look at it on this example, it seems like it's just an individual who's trying to sell a baby shoes, especially if we read it by line or by 2 words, for sale. So with that, it is like he is inviting buyers. Something is for sale, and the baby shoes, you will think it is actually not usual. It is unusual. If it's regular shoes, maybe that would be acceptable, but if we put the last line, never worn, it will change the whole story. Can you just imagine, class? It actually becomes very sad. This example becomes very sad. If you will analyze this 6-word flash fiction, it actually taught us a very sad story. Why? What does it mean? Perhaps it is a family longing to have a child. Maybe this family is waiting to have a baby, and so they buy stuff, and as time goes by, no baby is coming until they have just to sell what they have bought, and it has never been worn. So you see, it's only 6 words, but the meaning is very deep. If you will look at it, the definition of this kind of literary genre, it is stated there that the interpretation is actually based on the reader. Okay? So the interpretation is actually based on the reader. So it's up for the reader on how he or she will analyze that 6-word flash fiction. Did you get it? Okay, let's proceed to the next literary genre, which is the creative nonfiction. Creative nonfiction is also known as literary nonfiction or narrative nonfiction. It uses literary styles and techniques to create factually accurate narratives. So, creative nonfiction class within the world creative writing. The term creative nonfiction encompasses text about factual events that are not solely for length articles in magazines and narratives in literary journals. Basically, they are based on a true to life situation. So these are creative non-fiction. They are based on true to life situation. They are not product of imagination. Example here is the 1000 Gifts by Anne Voskamp and The Wind, Sand and Stars by Anton de Saint-Exupéry. So this stories class is based on a true to life situation. So that's why they are belong to creative non-fiction. Okay. Next literary genre is the science fiction. Science fiction is a genre of speculative fiction dealing with imaginative concepts such as futuristic science and technology, space travel, time travel faster than light travel, a parallel universe, and extraterrestrial life. So science fiction, sometimes shortened to sci-fi or SF, is a genre that deals with imaginative and futuristic science and technology. Take note of that, class. It is a genre that deals with imaginative and futuristic science and technology, or it uses speculative fictional science-based depictions of phenomena that are not fully accepted by mainstream science. So the example of a science fiction is again the movie Avengers, and of course the Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. So these movies or these stories is basically or are basically all about science, advanced science, and it is not real. They are just product of imagination. They are imaginative concepts. Okay? So, science fiction. Next literary genre is the blog. Blog is a weblog, a website containing short articles called posts that are changed regularly. So I know, class, that you are familiar with this term, blog, because nowadays there are a lot of bloggers here in the Philippines, right? So blog is a discussion or informational website published on the World Wide Web, consisting of discrete, often informal diary-style text entries or posts. Blog is one of the easiest way for me to express ideas, opinions, thoughts by the use of the internet website. So a blogger is the one who writes blog, and it is up for him what will be his preferred content, like Ivana Alawi, whose content is all about prank, and many other celebrities or personalities who is doing vlog. Okay. Next is the hyper hyperpoetry. Hyperpoetry is a digital poetry that uses links and hypertext markup. So we have here an example of a hyperpoetry. So as you can see on the example class that I have included here, there are some lines or phrases with line. This one. Okay. And those are the hypertext link. Or if you click on this line, it will actually bring us to another page. Okay, if you click those phrases with lines, it will actually redirect us to another page. It either involves set of words, phrases, or lines. So usually found online. So hyperpoetry is usually found online through CD-ROM and diskette versions. Why too old? Because the earliest example of hyperpoetry were released in the mid 1980s. That's why they used diskette before. Okay, so this is hyperpoetry, digital poetry that uses links and hypertext markup. Okay, so that's all for today, class. I hope you understood the lesson today, and keep safe always, and may God bless us all. Thank you.